Our desktop workshop today is more about quarterly updates. So we're going to go through some of the things that we've accomplished, what's in GSAFleet.gov, what's still left in GSAFleet.gov, or to move into GSAFleet.gov, what's next, and some high-level sneak peeks, updates, that kind of thing. We'll be stopping in the middle for some questions, but in the meantime, people will be answering in the chat, so feel free to put your questions in as we're going through. So hopefully you've seen this before, but in case you haven't, and are new to Fleet too, we're modernizing our systems and we're moving from disparate 19 systems into, drumroll, one system, GSAFleet.gov. And so that is where you're going to be doing the majority of the things that you need in order to do anything that's fleet related, do business with GSA Fleet, and buy your vehicles, lease your vehicles. All of that will be managed through GSAFleet.gov moving forward. We're in the middle of our transition period, so some of our functionality has already moved out into GSAFleet.gov. Some of it is still left to be migrated over. So there's some things that you'll be doing right now in GSAFleet.gov and some stuff that you'll do in drive-through per se. So you'll want to make sure that you have accounts in both. That's really important. But on that vein, what can you do in GSAFleet.gov? So we're going to go through some of the current features that are in the site and actions that you can perform. So for our leasing customers, which is what we'll start off with, you can manage your recalls. So that's where you'll be able to, on our recalls page, you'll be able to view and manage any safety recalls that are associated with your vehicles. You'll be able to run and schedule reports, including a customized inventory report for those leased vehicles. And you can now report your preventative maintenance. So whenever you get an oil change, you'll want to do that, report it on GSAFleet.gov. And you're also able to provide your customer-driven data on the vehicle details page. And so then that would be for a singular vehicle, you'll be able to input any of your customer-driven data, as well as bulk update your customer-driven data. And you'll need to record your TAS in the wallet. Your treasury account symbol is required to be in there for billing transactions. And that is a treasury requirement. So you'll want to make sure that you have that listed there. That would be added by your finance officers. Leasing customers can also, and these are new functions within GSAFleet.gov that we didn't have in our previous legacy systems. You're able to view your leasing accounts. So you'll be able to see any leasing account information, including your FSR and local point of contact, in addition to the vehicles that are assigned to those accounts. And you're able to manage your offices. So this one is for our customer administrators. It's so that you can manage how your fleet is structured, and offices are new to GSAFleet.gov in terms of we didn't have them for leasing before. So you get to structure and own how the structure of your vehicles, your groupings are. If you want to know more, if you need any help with that, please email us at fleetsystemsmodernization@gsa.gov. We've been doing one-on-one sessions with agencies to help them organize their fleets. So that is definitely something we can help with. You're also able to submit modification requests. That is, we made the process a little smoother, easier. It's in the system. You'll still have a 2553 created. All of that will be there. You're also able to create your motor pools. So that dispatch and reservation feature that was in the legacy systems is now in GSAFleet.gov. You can add any leased and agency-owned vehicles to your motor pool and dispatch them to drivers. And you're also able to comment on our federal vehicle standards. So if you look at pre-login, so before you log into GSAFleet.gov, there's a button that says view federal standards. And you can click on that and you'll have to log in eventually. But you are able to comment on those standards. Right now, we only have bus and wheelchair vehicles that you're able to comment on, and that's during open to the public commenting periods. But you're able to see our vehicle standards by vehicle type and submit your comments to our engineers and contractors. For our agency-owned folks, so anybody that owns their vehicles, our list of functions, you're able to acknowledge your vehicle receipt, which is a required component, and that triggers your billing processes. You're able to register vehicles, which is also a required thing. You want to make sure that you're registering your vehicles so that NLETS, which is that law enforcement database, has the correct information needed to be able to register that or see that vehicle. You'll also want to be recording your treasury account symbol in the wallet for purchasing BOACs, same as you do with the leased, which is also a required feature. On our agency-owned side, you're able to manage your license plate orders, create motor pools and dispatch vehicles to drivers the same way that you do for lease vehicles, edit your customer-driven data, export reports, report your mileage for agency-owned vehicles, and report your maintenance and expenses. So we've got a lot of features that have moved over. And we'll talk in a second about what's next and the things that are still left. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Mike, to talk through some of the new purchasing features that we've got.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So as you can see, we've released the vehicle purchasing capability in GSAFleet.gov. May 13th was the day that we opened that up. And now agency-owned vehicles can be purchased through what we call our fleet offerings capability. When you do land in to the fleet offerings onto GSAFleet.gov, if you don't want to create a requisition, anyone with a GSAFleet.gov account can just browse, meaning essentially you can go in and look at the vehicle offerings that we have in our fleet offerings purchasing capability. What you're seeing here is that agencies, at least on this screenshot, to be able to come in, you would initiate to create a requisition. You would click on that purchase vehicles tile there and then initiate to go in and create your requisition in the system. And then those that are looking up the statuses of those requisitions that are in flight or the status of those orders would go to that tile that says manage requisitions and orders. And again, there's also a tile that you don't see here that says just browsing that allow you to go in and just browse those features I talked about. Next slide, please. And so we've talked about this before, that really we're just supporting two primary roles in the purchasing capability. One is that of an agency submitter, and then one of those that's an agency approver. And what that means is that if you're an agency submitter, you can create your requisition and then submit that to someone else within your organization that can approve, that has that approval role that can approve and place that order. If you're a smaller organization and maybe you're a one-person shop, and you just have the agency approver role, you can create your requisitions as the agency approver and place the order without having to go through that workflow. Customer administrators can go in and assign the roles for your agency users in the manage users capability that we have in GSAFleet.gov. So if you are seeking to get a submitter or an approver role, please reach out to your customer administrators to assist you with assigning either that submitter or that approver role. The customer administrator is the manager listed under your GSAFleet.gov profile. All GSA Fleet users can browse vehicle configurations. I mentioned the just browsing feature, so I jumped ahead there. But essentially, it looks very much like the beginning of the flow when you go to build a requisition. I will tell you that we've had tremendous feedback about good feedback about this capability to just browse, but everybody's asking for an ability to be able to print from this actual, when you go in and actually start comparing pages. So we do have it in our backlog. And when we're able to get to it, we'll give you a feature that'll allow you to print those comparisons between the different vehicle models as you select through those. But again, it looks very much just like you're creating a requisition. It'll allow you to, search by that standard item number, bring back the vehicles that are available under that standard item, compare the options against those, the pricing, any of the clarifications, supplier information around those vehicle models, and then ultimately to be able to price those and see what that looks like in our fleet offerings capability. Do we have another slide?
No, that is it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So something new that came out recently, we have changed our help page kind of a little bit. So under the help page now, we have a resource center, and there's a distinct button at the top of the menu. It says resource center. And so then that's going to be a new area for you to find any of your links to training materials and stuff that are more on the side of like actual fleet training, fleet management training. Whereas that help page under GSAFleet.gov is all of the user guides and videos. So right now, what we have under that current page is the desktop workshops link. So that's where you'll be able to register for these types of sessions and access past recordings and past presentations. The Federal Fleet Manager Certification Program, the link to that is also listed on there. The defensive driving course, we added a link to that course on the Resource Center page, and the link to the Fed Fleet page is also listed there. So it's going to be kind of like right now, it's a condensed list of those training opportunities. And in the future, we'll see what that develops into, and we'll have more content on there, and we'll keep you updated on what that looks like. So what is next? And I saw some questions in the chat already asking about some of the things that are coming up. So we'll go through those. So currently, we broke it down into systems. What is still left? On the left-hand side of the screen, on the slide, you'll see what we still have, which are the major chunks of the major stuff is drive-through, which we still have mileage reporting, the customer acquisition module, and the fast leasing data center is going to be moved over within between the summer and the fall. We're working on those right now, so those are upcoming, and we will keep you updated on what's going on with them, and you'll know we'll do our release sessions whenever we have those coming up. And the replacement for the vehicle fleet exchange, which we'll be seeing some sneak peeks of in a second, is also something that is remaining, and we will keep you updated on that as well, but you'll get a little bit more information at the end of the session. Our federal vehicle standards is kind of in transition. We currently have it on GSAFleet.gov for buses and wheelchair vehicles, but we don't have them for the other vehicles. So those are going to be transitioned over as well. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you see all of the things that we've already worked to decommission or move towards not using. So we're a ways, we still have a little bit to go, but we've made a decent amount of progress, and we've gotten a lot of things done, thankfully. Thank you to our teams. So what does the road ahead look like? Our next features, upcoming features, will be mileage reporting, which will be going in conjunction with billing. So those billing features are going to be tied with that mileage. So we'll let you know when that's upcoming. Our appointment scheduler, which is the new replacement for VFE, will also be coming out later this year. FMS, which is our internal system. We're working on going through all of the functionality for that. And then our leased fleet offerings. So right now you currently have purchasing, like Mike talked about. You're able to go in and order those vehicles, and we'll have our leased feature for that soon. And then as well as our leased fast reporting. So kind of a little bit of what I just mentioned. And I will hand it over to Jonathan to speak to the mileage reporting.
Yeah, so mileage reporting, we are expected to release that this summer. That is the Mileage Express. This will also include the GORP, the Telematics monthly mileage reporting as well when this is released. The bulk monthly mileage report, this is the spreadsheet. It'll include that as well. The FTP text file, we are looking at discontinuing the text file and just using the spreadsheet. So if that would cause an issue, please put that in the chat, let us know. The fund code description 1 and description 2. When we go live in GSAFleet.gov, these fields will be able to update at any time. So currently in drive-thru, you can only update it when you report the mileage. In GSAFleet.gov, you can report it anytime. We're also adding the new capability for customers to view the mileage history at the vehicle level. You can see from the screenshot from a test vehicle, the tab on the left will say mileage history. You'll be able to go in it and see how you've reported. You'll see the odometer, that days used that you report, the miles driven. Next slide, please. Again, the fund code description 1, description 2, you'll be able to report that just like you've always done through the mileage screens. But on the vehicle detail page, on that home screen where you see the vehicle details, the contact information, you see on this screenshot here on the right side, there is an edit button just above the fund code description 1, description 2. You'll be able to click that edit button and edit those 3 fields. Go ahead and click the next slide. Thank you. From here, this is kind of the mileage reporting. You'll see the lower left tile is just very similar to Mileage Express. You'll be able to enter the mileage, ending mileage days used for the vehicles on your account. You'll be able to expand the row and be able to report the fund code description 1 and description 2. Next slide.
All right, and I'll hand it over to John.
Hey everybody, my name is John Fulstrom. I am the product manager for Marketplace and Innovation, and I'm going to go over some information about our replacement for VFE. It's going to be the appointment scheduler and vehicle appointment scheduler in GSAFleet.gov. We will not be releasing it until later this year, but we wanted to give you a sneak peek of what's to come. From a process perspective, we're not expecting a lot of changes to happen from your perspective, but we are excited about a lot of new improvements that will make your life easier when it comes to scheduling a vehicle appointment for leased vehicles, of course. So let's start at the beginning. When a vehicle is ready for pickup or exchange at a marshaling site, we will automatically email the customer POC to inform them that the vehicle is ready for pickup or exchange. You can see on the right-hand side here, we have a screenshot of what that email will look like. So you'll have old and new vehicle information, you'll have your customer information, and then the marshaling information for the location that the appointment will be conducted at, including POC information for the marshaling site. And most importantly, on the top, you will see that you will have a scheduled appointment link, and that will be a temporary link, just as it is now. It will last for 72 hours, which will give you access to GSAFleet.gov and specifically the vehicle appointment page, scheduling page, so you can schedule that actual appointment. You can share this email with other colleagues. So I know a lot of agencies do it differently, where the POC might not be the one to actually schedule the appointments. So you can forward this to the person who's in charge of scheduling those appointments, and they can access this link as well. One new improvement that we're excited about is the fact that we will send automatically a new reminder email every 72 hours, so every 3 days, with an updated link. So you will always have access to a functioning link to get into GSAFleet.gov and schedule that appointment. And that will continue until the appointment is scheduled, but once it is scheduled, you'll no longer get those emails. So just want to make sure that we push the data to you and you don't have to pull it out from us. Next slide, please. So let's see what this actually looks like. So once you click that schedule appointment link, you will be directed to the vehicle exchange, the vehicle appointment management screen. And here you can schedule the appointment. You can select appointment date and time, and it'll be based off of the availability of the marshaling site. You then enter in driver information, so first name, last name, email, phone number, and you can provide any comments that you would like to have the marshaler be aware of regarding the appointment. And then at the bottom, you can see the information about the old and new vehicle, as well as customer and marshaling information. Just again, pushing that information in front of you, what vehicles and location the appointment is for. Thank you. Can you go to the next slide? So after you complete that screen and you push submit, you will get a confirmation email, which will be sent to the customer POC as well as the driver email address that was entered. This email will show the appointment details, so appointment date, time, as well as the vehicle and customer and marshaling information as it relates to that appointment. That way, if you do need to get in contact with the marshaling site or need to know exactly where it is for the exchange or pickup or drop off, you will have that information available. A new component to this that we're excited to introduce is the ability for customers to edit appointments. So you can see at the top of that screenshot, you see edit appointment is hyperlinked. If you click that, you will be directed back to that vehicle appointment management screen where you will see all of your information populated for that appointment, but you can actually change information for that appointment. So if you scheduled it, realize that maybe the driver was on vacation that day, you can go in yourself and actually edit that appointment, or anyone who has this link can go in and edit that appointment. That link is only active for 72 hours though, due to security reasons. So if a change needs to be done to the appointment 72 hours after the appointment was scheduled, you will still have to then contact an FSR or marshaling site for them to help facilitate the rescheduling of that appointment. And yeah, that is all we have for now, but I'm looking forward to sharing more as we get closer to release. Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, our last update is over to Mike.
Hey, good morning again, everyone. So just wanted to talk through a couple of features that were really fast follow-up to some items that we didn't get into our initial release for vehicle purchasing. And the first of those is the reporting download feature. So essentially all GSA Fleet.gov users will be able to come in and filter and download the data for requisition, which we're calling the pre-award data, and the post-award data that is our order data. So essentially someone's building a requisition in the system, and until it's been submitted over to GSA and that order's actually been placed is really the requisition. And then once the requisition has been submitted to our vehicle suppliers, it becomes an official order. So you'll be able to filter and download the various types of data that makes that up. It's going to look very similar to some of the reporting capabilities that are already in GSAFleet.gov. And essentially when you go to initiate and running that report, is going to ask you a series of different filtering capabilities as you're going through and narrowing down the data sets that you're looking for. And then you'd have that ability to submit that reporting feature and then have it sent to you via email. And so don't have a fixed date on that, but we have coming soon, because essentially we are expected to have the development of the reporting capability completed by mid-June. So as soon as we can test that out and get that into production, we will communicate that and let you know that that reporting feature is then ready. Non-standards vehicle ordering. So on the non-SOP ordering that we've done in GSAFleet.gov, we're supporting MAS and the express or urgent ordering, which used to know as Express Desk. And that doesn't mean that we can't support the non-standard vehicle ordering in GSAFleet.gov. It just means that where we want to go with the non-standards is building in that workflow that really goes between the customer submitting that specialized vehicle request going to our engineering team, and the engineers going back and forth with the contracting officers to come up with a solution that meets the needs and the mission of our customers. So again, not something that's preventing us from moving forward with non-standard ordering in the system at this point in time. It's just that we want to build in that automated workflow that incorporates the engineering and the contracting folks. And that is expected to be released this summer. So that's I think that typically we should be able to get to this after the reporting feature. So that's why we were kind of thinking in July, but as soon as we get a little closer with the dates on the non-standards, we can communicate that as well. That's all I had for this slide. Thank you, Alex.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. All right. Before we move on to training opportunities, just want to say I hope that those updates were helpful. We try to schedule these quarterly. Last quarter we missed our update just because there were lots of different features that were being released. And so we were having back-to-back release sessions instead. So hopefully these are helpful for you to know what's in GSAFleet.gov versus what's not, and help you transition through like the change of moving into using GSAFleet.gov. So we have these. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to interject. We do have lots of questions, so whenever you're ready to handle them, let me know. I'll read them off.
Yeah, I'm going to finish the training opportunities and then we'll get to the questions.
Perfect.
Okay. So also, as you know, that we do our third Thursday Q&A sessions on a monthly basis. So our next one is on the 21st, and you know, they'll be structured a lot more kind of open office hours to ask any questions. And we've got our help page with video tutorials and user guides. And of course, you can always email us at fleetsystemsmodernization@gsa.gov for information. So in the event that you have more questions following up today's session, please feel free to email us or join us for our monthly Q&A. And with that said, we'll get to some of the questions in the chat. Genevieve?
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. We have this is going to be a question for Jonathan. There is a question about telematics devices and if they're not working, and how we're going to be handling mileage reporting if the telematics device is not functioning. So can you speak a little bit to how telematics factors into mileage reporting in GSAFleet.gov?
Yes. So telematics, that'll run on about the 20th of the month. If the device is any vehicle that has telematics from the 1st of the month until we run the mileage on the 20th, that vehicle, you will not be able to report it through the bulk or through a UI. It'll be locked for telematics. On the 20th, if that device is malfunctioning, when a device malfunctions, it usually does not transmit mileage. We will then open up the other reporting mechanisms in GSAFleet.gov. So customers, you'll be able, if it's malfunctioning, you'll be able to go into the UI through like the Mileage Express, that UI that'll exist in GSAFleet.gov. You'll be able to report the mileage for that particular vehicle. If you do a bulk upload spreadsheet, you'll be able to go ahead, enter that one on that spreadsheet and upload it. If for some reason you don't do it, we will try one more time to get the telematics mileage from that vehicle at the end of the month. Maybe, you know, between the 20th and the end of the month, the device got fixed, it's starting to transmit. And if a mileage has not been reported manually, we'll go ahead and try one more time to get mileage from that device at the end of the month. I hope that helps answer that question.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan. If there's any follow-up questions about telematics reporting with Mileage Express that's to come, please let us know. All right, the next question we've got is for John Fulstrom and our marketplace team. And the question is, does a user need GSAFleet.gov access to schedule an exchange appointment?
Thanks for that question, Genevieve. And I'm glad it was asked because it's good to socialize this, that no, you do not need an account with GSAFleet.gov in order to schedule or reschedule an appointment. That link that will be embedded into the email, both for the initial appointment scheduling, but also the confirmation of the scheduled appointment. Both of those links will be accessible by anybody who has that link, and you do not need a user account in GSAFleet.gov in order to access that vehicle appointment management screen.
Great, thanks, John. All right, we've got a couple more questions. Let's see here. Let me grab one. Jonathan, this one might be a question for you. It is DHS plates and replacing Unicore for purchase or just tracking. The question is for DHS plates, is this replacing Unicore for purchase or just tracking? I guess the question is, can our agencies order plates for agency-owned vehicles through our system?
No, not at this time. We cannot order Unicore plates through GSAFleet.gov. You have to place your order through Unicore.
And then once you've placed that order, what is an agency's responsibility, though, to track license plates in our system?
Once that order is replaced, usually in about 10 days or so, we will get a file from Unicore and your plates will be loaded into GSAFleet.gov. So you will be able to come into the plate inventory screen in GSAFleet.gov and you will be able to see the plate, and then you can also reconcile the plate in GSAFleet.gov that you have received it.
And then once you've received it and you get the vehicle, you can register it and associate that VIN of the vehicle and that license plate in our system. All right, let's see, next question. We did have a follow-up from Alan on that telematics question, so very happy about that. It's a great solution for when telematics fail. Appreciates the explanation. Always good to hear, Alan. Thank you for following up on that. All right. Mike Stevenson, there's a couple of questions regarding when users will be able to see the dealership information on purchase orders in GSAFleet.gov. Do you have any context for us on that?
Yeah, I was just looking at that one, Genevieve, so
Okay.
good timing. Yeah, we've got feedback and we know that when the purchasing customers are going through the process and they've selected their dealership, that on the review summary page, we're just showing the addresses that were entered in there, not the selected dealership. So we do have that as a quick follow-up fix. And so hope to have that updated in the system very shortly. I would say within the sprint, which would be in the 2-week time frame. With that said, just know that when the order actually does get placed, there is a dealership code that is going out on the MVDO. So the suppliers are getting that information of the dealership that's selected. We just need to take it a step further and make sure that you're seeing that dealership on the actual requisition as well as the order when it's been placed. So that is coming.
Thanks, Mike. And before you sign off, you go away. I do have a question. We've got a couple in the chat block that's asking about acknowledging receipt of vehicles. And I know that we've had some inquiries of people saying, hey, they've got the submitter role in the system. I explained to one person in the chat, you know, sometimes when vehicle orders were placed in auto choice, they were placed at an agency bureau level. And so one of the issues you might be encountering is the user in our system is scoped to an office level, which means it's kind of at a level lower than where that vehicle order resides. But Mike, I just wanted to touch base with you. I know that we identified a gap in our user guide on how users can acknowledge receipt. Would you be wanting to walk us through how to do that? Or do you have any sort of estimation of when we'd be able to share those resources with our customers?
So there's a couple things. If you want to see where the acknowledgement of receipt is in the system, I'd be happy to share my screen and show that. But kind of going in a different direction than what you're talking about, Genevieve, is that we know on some of our legacy orders that we had an issue with some of the way that that data was migrated over. And not all of the orders, but some of the orders actually had dates that were incorrectly populated that's causing a problem with the acknowledgement of receipt. Our data team is currently working to correct that issue as we speak, and I'm hoping, as I had an update this morning, that that's being addressed. They found one more issue, so I'm hoping that that will be finalized, and any of those areas where folks are having a problem acknowledging receipt, at least from a data perspective, those will be corrected very shortly. If you'd like me, if we have the time, I can certainly share my screen and go in and find out where that acknowledgement receipt exists today.
Great. All right, we'll take a couple more questions, and then if time allows, we'll loop back to you. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. We had a question that came in. I guess this would be for Jonathan. I don't know if we have a representative of maintenance and repair on, but there's a question from someone in the audience that says, what are considered modifications?
Hey, everyone, real quick, this is Harold Powell. Anything that's a
Hey.
modification on vehicles that are ordered and the vehicle did not come with it, and you need to install it once the vehicle arrives, whether they are having tent for special modifications or whether they're side steps, toolboxes, tonneau covers, any of those items will qualify as a modification.
Awesome. Thanks, Harold. And also, I'd like to clarify that the modification requests, that the feature that exists in GSAFleet.gov is for leased vehicles only. If you wish to perform a modification on your agency-owned vehicle, you should be following your agency's protocol for that. All right, this one might be for Jonathan and John. The question is, when exchanging vehicles, can we add new vehicles to GSAFleet.gov ourselves? Sergio, based on that question, I'm going to assume we're talking about leased vehicles. So let's start there with leased vehicles. John?
Yeah, so for leased vehicles, everything will be handled by GSA Fleet.gov's functionality for ingesting the new vehicle that was ordered and delivered to that marshaling site. So for leasing, that will be handled all by us and not by any of the customers. So yeah, for agency owned, it would be a different process, but that would be the leasing.
Thanks, John. Jonathan, do you want to speak to the agency-owned process of how customers, if customers can add their agency-owned vehicles to our system?
Yes, so agencies can add their own vehicles to the system. They'll have to create an account, log in to GSAFleet.gov. They will go through the registration process, be able to enter that VIN. The VIN will get verified through NHTSA. They will be putting some vehicle data in it, attaching a plate, and then the vehicle will be registered into GSAFleet.gov.
Thank you, Jonathan. There is a question in the block about registration dates and cards, and I just wanted to answer this live. I was going to type in an answer, but when the question is, when registering a vehicle, you have to put in received date. We need to have a registration card before we receive the vehicle. Why is this date needing to be entered when registering the vehicle? Can this be removed? So, technically speaking, we require you to enter in the date in which you have received the vehicle. This is for purchase vehicles, because that serves as acknowledgement to our vendors that you have physically received the asset and that we go ahead and pay our vendors. This is not a requirement that will be removed in the near future. However, if you have a specific need for a registration card, perhaps I'd suggest reach out to Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov, and we can discuss it. So that's what I would recommend. If this is a leased vehicle, I'd also recommend reaching out to Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov. We can understand a little bit better your request, and we can direct you to the proper team. All I just saw staff here say yes, in vehicles, so hopefully we got that. Other questions? We got a couple of questions. All right, so for the folks that have questions specifically about the last year's CAM cycle or not having telematics installed on vehicles that you received, please send your inquiries to Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov, and we will direct them to the proper teams to address. There's additional information that we're going to need to have folks look up and glean in order to be able to answer those questions. And to that same point, I would also add, we're trying to get through as many questions as we can, but if your question remains unanswered, please feel free to reach out to us. Like I said, that's that, and Alex put it in the chat for everyone. Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov, minus the Y, and we will direct it to the proper team. Most of the folks on the call today are experts in what is being built in the system, and we may not necessarily have the proper response for you for some of the more nuanced questions regarding your specific need. I think that's all the questions that we can answer confidently right now. Hold on. Stephanie, you asked a question about no replacement vehicles offered through GSA that meet the fleet's requirement. That question, please send to vehicle.buying@gsa.gov. Alex, if you wouldn't mind putting that into the chat for everyone, vehicle.buying@gsa.gov. They can assist you with either letting you know, hey, is that offering going to be made available, or potentially exploring an option of a waiver. But definitely address that to them. All right, that's all we got. Donald, I do see your questions in the chat about the ZEV strategic plan. We're going to have to refer you to our ZEV team. So as soon as we can get their address, we'll send you a follow-up email so you can get connected with them. That's all I see in the chat block for now.
And we have a couple of new questions that came in. Is GSA only concerned about the oil PMs? So when we talk about PMs, Jonathan, do you want to?
Hi, yes. Yeah, this is for electric vehicles. Probably, I think they're referring to, we do have an electric vehicle PM schedule as well. So electric vehicles, that you will get a PM notification to have that done, and there is instructions on the services we expect to be performed on an electric vehicle. So if you do own one of those electric vehicles, go into GSAFleet.gov, go to the vehicle details of that vehicle, the PM tab, you'll be able to expand it. Those instructions are in that PM tab, and you can see the services and then when the service is required for those vehicles.
All right, and Genevieve, there's a question in there for you about managing users, such as printing out the lists of users and their roles.
Sure. That's a great question. And the answer is yes, absolutely. While you do not have the ability to export and download a list just yet, you can make that request from GSAFleet.gov at our Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov team. And we can work with you if you are a customer administrator to see who within your organization has a role, what level, what permissions, all of that to allow you to look and potentially update and review those requirements. Now, that is something that has been a huge shift from the way that drive-through, as well as auto choice, as well as many of our other legacy systems worked. And that is that GSAFleet.gov puts you, our agency partners, in control of who has access to your data in the system. Now, there are still nuances, of course, as we're decommissioning those legacy systems, trying to make sure that everybody that had access, continues to have access, or we verify with you that users should have access to a particular type of the system. Because unlike in legacy systems, where if you had access to auto choice, you had access to vehicle purchasing, period. You didn't necessarily have access to the management of agency owned assets, the ability to order and manage license plates, to register it in the system. Now that GSAFleet.gov contains all of this functionality, I like to call it, it's kind of like the universe of federal fleet management. And so we really are taking a careful approach to make sure that users that you approve to be in the system have the right scoping. So yeah, if you want to review it, please, please, please reach out to Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov. We can provide a list to headquarter and bureau level fleet managers that have that customer administrator role assigned in our system to be able to review the users that have access to your data. Great question.
All right. And anything else that we want to go through? I think, oh, I did see someone asked about roles. If you, with the wallet, so if you need access to the wallet or any other role, you'll be contacting your customer administrator, which is the person listed as your manager on your GSAFleet.gov profile. So you have to select someone in order to be approved into the site. And that is the person that will be able to assign you roles.
And if you happen, yeah, and Alex, I just add, and if you happen to work for one of those agencies that doesn't really have a headquarter authorizing official, you can reach out to Fleet Systems Modernization at GSA.gov, and we can either help point you in the right direction or potentially grant access to that. But yeah, if you're new, especially to GSAFleet.gov, and you need some help with wallet, you can reach out, or you can also use our help page once you get that role to further discover what you can do there.
All right. See Jonathan typing in the chat, so I'll let him finish answering, but we'll wrap up in the meantime. If there do happen to be any questions that come up that we need to address afterwards, or point you in the right direction, we will get back to you on that. So we get a list of all of the questions afterwards, and we'll be able to go through and answer any of the remaining things, or at least point you to the right inbox to contact. If you are interested in giving feedback on the site or doing any sort of testing, please contact us at fleetsystemsmodernization@gsa.gov, the infamous email, to sign up for our community of practice, and we'll have you on the list for people that we can tap on the shoulder and ask for feedback. And that is it for today. So thank you for joining us. We'll be having another one of these in the next few months. And our next Q&A is on the 21st.
Hey, Alex, this is Mike.
Yeah.
Was there a request? Did you want me to share the screen of showing vehicle
Oh,
receipt?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if you're logged in, that'd be great.
Yes.
Okay. So good morning once again. And let me share my screen.
Mike, I just want to verify, are you in test?
I'm in production. You want me to get into a staging environment?
Yes, please. If you'd be able to use test, that would be ideal. Since we are recording this, we just need to be mindful of data shared.
All right, good point.
And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and answer one more question while Mike's pulling that up. There was a question about, is there a place where I can find a timeline for projected GSA Fleet.gov or GSA Fleet updates and a list of updates that are made to GSA Fleet? So one of the best resources that we have available to you is the participation in the monthly Q&As, as well as attending the desktop workshops. We could publish a timeline. Unfortunately, the way that development works and the way that it works with a lot of major projects such as this, those timelines can shift. And so we do not normally put in writing when we are going to be making all these changes, because obviously as we find defects, we need to address them, and that can delay some of our releases. So what I can tell you is we are working as hard as we can to decommission these legacy systems by the end of this fiscal year. We're hoping late summer. So that kind of gives you an idea of the time frame we're working on. Now, once we hit that mainframe decommissioning, we're going to really be able to start enhancing a lot of the features that you see in GSAFleet.gov. So that's something that we can definitely, hopefully all look forward to once we're able to get out of those legacy systems that still tie our hands just a little bit. So I hope that's helpful. All right, over to you, Mike.
All right, thank you, Genevieve. So I've logged into GSAFleet.gov, and so there were a couple of questions that I want to go through. One was, where can I find my requisitions and order data, which I responded back to, but again, you would click here under offerings, go to manage orders and requisitions. Once you come to the requisitions and orders screen here, you'll notice that by default, I've gone to my orders tab. Now, again, I've got a different permission set here, so I'm seeing 4 tabs, but typically customers will be able to see requisitions, orders, and vehicles. Now, I want to give you the tip of the day, which is that there was another question that came in and said, hey, are my legacy orders in the system? Yes, they should be. And another question that was related is, I'm not seeing my orders in the system. Make sure that when you come in here, that what we're doing is we're actually pre-filtering all the active orders to show up in the system. So you'll see here that we have awarded and in process already checked. It may be that you're not seeing the order that you need because it might be a completed order or it might be a canceled order. And the reason that we're pre-filtering that is because there are so many records over time. We've got 10 years worth of data going back in the system that it was bringing back here, as you can see here, almost 200,000 records, and it takes time to render that onto the screen. So that's why I say, if you can't find the order, if you're going in and you're searching by a specific order number and you can't find it, make sure that you've selected the completed selection box here. And so now let's go into vehicle receipt. There are a couple things that I want to point out and that we've noted. You build a system and that you test it and you've got designs and you get feedback, but when people actually start using it, then you start to realize that maybe there's some things that we need to tweak in the system. And one of those is that when you go into the details of an order, like here, if I'm just going to click on this, you'll see that there is an actual vehicle tab here. And on that is the actual status of the vehicle itself on this particular order. But I don't want you to get confused by that. This is good for looking at the statuses, of the vehicles that are on that order. But when it actually comes to receipt of a vehicle, that's going back to this, base requisitions and order UI, where you're seeing all the orders in here, and you select this vehicles tab. So I think what we're talking about doing is potentially renaming this tab to make it a little more user-friendly and not so confusing with that other vehicle tab that I just showed you that's on the order details, but kind of calling this out as maybe vehicle receipt or something otherwise that will let you know. Now, the way this works is that you can see here, if I want to see, and I'm an agency customer, show me everything that's been delivered. I can go here and just pre-filter everything that's in a delivered status. And maybe I want to look at things that are in a delinquent or a pending status, meaning that if it's in a pending status, that means that the vehicle's been delivered, but receipt hasn't been acknowledged. If it's in a delinquent status, that means that it's gone over 15 calendar days and that we now want to start calling out, hey, did you, agency customer, did you receive this vehicle? It's been sitting for some time after the supplier provided that status of it being delivered. And then when you're actually ready to acknowledge receipt, you simply click on the enter date here and you put in your date and then save it. So it's as simple as that. It's really important to know how you can filter and find the data that you're looking for to easily find those vehicles that need receipt. And then you're just entering in that date here where you have this button. Now, there was a question before, like, hey, I wasn't seeing something that was acknowledging receipt. I mentioned that we are correcting a data issue that should be addressed very soon. So if you are seeing something that has been delivered, and for whatever reason you are unable to get this button to enter the receive date, then we'll want to know that so that we can track it. But again, the data corrections that are occurring on those dates that were incorrectly populated are being fixed as we speak. So yeah, that's all I got.
think you might. All right, so with that, I think that was the last thing, and we'll close it out. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the 21st.